Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello and welcome to another episode here at USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, and our show is What You Were Never Taught in School. And today we're going to be discussing why standards matter more than goals. So if you're new to our network, if you're new to our platform, thank you so much for being here. Please do subscribe to our channels, USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck on YouTube. So we're going to get right into it today. We're going to talk about the difference between goals and standards and why long-term success really depends on your daily standards as opposed to milestone achievements. So what happens pretty much every year, January 1st or leading up to January 1st, is that people set goals. They set goals that they, at the time, truly intend to achieve. And yet, most people will fail. Now, is it they're failing because they didn't have the intention? Are they failing because they really didn't follow through? There's a lot of reasons why people will fail. But fewer people will actually change their standards. And so goals can feel very productive, but often they're just not changing any behavior. They're not driving behavior change. So goals are targets, but standards are the rules you live by. Can you think of any standard that you follow every day of your life? All of us have certain standards. And we must keep those standards in mind even when we're setting goals. So first of all, we're going to look at what is a goal. A goal is a measurable outcome. I always think of it as do this, get that. It's also a milestone that's in the future. It's something that we work really toward achieving. And sometimes it can be temporary. It can be something that we really thought we wanted, and then all of a sudden it's no longer important. So what are some examples of this? If you think about a revenue target, how much you want your company to net, how much you want to earn, how many widgets you want to produce. Maybe it's even publishing a book. I meet with many people in my coaching practice who are interested in publishing a book. And they talk about it and they set a goal for it. And what happens is the goal keeps moving. It's moving every day because they're not actually doing any work. But when you have standards, you basically say part of what I'm doing on a daily basis is writing a chapter for this book, writing 5 pages for this book, whatever it might be. And then another example is actually hitting a milestone. So if you think about what a pharmaceutical company does, they bring a new drug to market, or maybe it's an existing drug that has an indication for something else that it now can be a solution for. There are milestones all along the way, and each and every one of those milestones has to be hit in order to achieve the desired outcome, which is a drug that the FDA in the US will approve. So clinical trials, et cetera. So the basic idea here is that goals come to an end, but standards always continue. So I'm going to give an example in the fitness world for any of you out there who might work out. Working out to me is very important. I do it on a regular basis. And I might have a goal that I want to be able to lift a certain amount of weights. For example, if you've ever heard of a farmer's carry, you pick up 2 kettlebells or 2 dumbbells, you put your shoulders back, you stand up straight, and then you carry the weight across the gym, wherever it is that you are. And how long can you carry that? So that could be a goal. Maybe my goal is X% of my weight that I want to be able to carry, let's say 35 pounds in each hand or 45 pounds in each hand. But in order to do that, I have to have certain standards. And so the standards are, I'm going to lift weights 4 times a week. I'm going to increase my weights. I'm going to move super slow as opposed to just using momentum. Maybe I'm going to eat a certain way. There's certain standards that are really necessary for me to hit this goal. Now, I talked about the fact that the goal could be temporary. So I may decide on a Monday that my goal is to be able to do a farmer's carry of 35 pounds in each hand, and I want to do it by Friday. And then Friday comes and I don't feel like it. So then I say, you know what? It's not that important. I'll put it off till next week. But yet the standards of what I believe in terms of working out, they continue on a daily basis. That's something that continues on, that doesn't change. So think about what you're doing in your life and what standards you have and what's actually carrying through. So what is a standard? It is a minimum level of behavior that you are willing to accept. It's non-negotiable. So I shared with you about working out. Working out is at the top of my list because my health is at the top of my list. Peace of mind is at the top of my list. So working out and working out effectively is a non-negotiable for me. Is the farmer's carry at 35 pounds in each hand? Is that a non-negotiable? No, it's a nice to have, but it's not a non-negotiable. And a standard is also a decision that's made in advance. It's something that we look at on a daily basis. So for those of you who are just joining for the first time, I decided to give up Chardonnay. I loved my Kendall Jackson Chardonnay, not a paid spokesperson. And I love chocolate. I loved really good dark chocolate with sea salt. And I just decided January 18th, I'm not doing it anymore. And it wasn't hard. It wasn't a big deal. I just took behavior that I've been doing for decades and I just said, I'm not doing that anymore. So I set a new standard. So the minimum level of behavior for me is there's no more drinking and there's no more sugar. That's it. That's the minimum level of behavior. It's non-negotiable. There's nothing that anyone can say to me that is going to make me change my mind. I already made the decision. So I made the decision in advance. And my daily expectation is this is who I am now. This is who I am. This is my standard of behavior. And why standards can fail is because we're not actually committed to it. It's a nice to have. Someone suggested it. And again, I go to the farmer's carry because for those of you who don't work out, imagine if I asked you to carry 75% of your weight in kettlebells, divided by 2, whatever that 75% is, and to walk across a gym floor. Most people would say, yeah, I'm out. I'm not doing it. So that's not something that is a standard. But if I said to you, for you to put your health as a priority, exercising at your target threshold heart rate for so many minutes of a day by so many days and days in a month, you might say, you know what, that's something that I can do. But you might have no interest in the farmer's carry. It could also be where you work out on a regular basis and then your goal is to run a marathon. You say to yourself, you know what, at some point, I want to run in a marathon. Maybe I want to do a triathlon. Maybe I want to do any of these other things that are really putting us, like Survivor, for example, the reality TV show Survivor. Maybe you put it out there, but you don't actually have a plan of how you're going to do it. It's sort of like it's out there. When it becomes a goal, you actually have certain steps that you're working on towards that. But the standards are what it is that's going to prepare you physically and mentally and spiritually to be able to compete and complete, if that makes sense. In business, client standards matter more than revenue goals. Why is that? Because your client is your brand ambassador. So you may have projected a certain revenue goal, but if your customer service is lacking, if the quality of the product or service that you're delivering is lacking, then it doesn't matter what your revenue goals are because clients are running out the door faster than you can count. So you might say, well, we're going to do XYZ in revenue based on our projections, but yet your clients are unhappy. Your customer service needs revamping. Another area in business is delivery. Delivery standards matter much more than growth projections. So if you've ever been in a business meeting and you talk about what's going to happen 1 year from now, 5 years from now, we're projecting a certain amount of growth. You can project all you want, but if part of what it is that you offer to your client is delivery and your delivery standards are not on point, and I'm going to give an example of this, it doesn't matter what your growth projections are because once again, it goes back to the client standards. It goes back to customer service. So I recently was flooded out of my apartment and I lost all the furniture that was in this room in my broadcasting studio and I had to get new furniture. So I ordered this beautiful standing desk and bookcase, and I ordered some other furniture, and the other furniture never came, and it was being delivered by FedEx. And so I contacted the company that I bought the furniture from. I'm not going to say their name. And they said, well, we contacted FedEx. I filed 2 cases with FedEx, and FedEx could not even find where the delivery of the items was. They had no idea. They took pictures of cardboard. It was just a photograph of cardboard with no information on it. So no one knows where the packages were delivered. So the furniture company sent out replacements of the furniture, which again was not delivered. So at one point, there were probably 10 boxes of furniture that never were delivered to where they were supposed to be delivered. So my point is that this furniture company has beautiful furniture, but I, as the consumer, never received the furniture I was supposed to receive because of the company doing the deliveries. And long story short about this, because I think it's kind of interesting, it turns out in a random way by me having a conversation with a person I never met before, said they happened to see some very large boxes in front of a building and they could be the boxes I was looking for. So it was just another resident where I live. And so lo and behold, that's where the boxes were. They were sitting there for a month. So when it comes to standards, even though the furniture company makes beautiful furniture, the company they partnered with for the delivery, which is FedEx, didn't do their job. So I am now not buying anything from this company because I don't have 100% assurance that I'll ever actually get the furniture. Now the furniture that's sitting there, FedEx is not picking up. So now it's on me to try to get rid of the furniture. So it's been a whole ordeal, which I've gone a little bit too far into. But the point is that even though this furniture company has nice furniture and they may be projecting growth, if the people delivering it aren't delivering it when it's supposed to be delivered and don't have proof of delivery, that's going to impact directly their business. Now, what does it look like in our personal life? In our personal life, health standards, okay, the standards that I just mentioned to you that I'm applying to my own life, that matters more than dieting for a certain event. So, for example, let's say you've been invited to a wedding, or let's say you're getting married, and you decide that you need to be size 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever the size is by a certain amount of time because you have a wedding. You're going to a wedding, you're the bride, you're the groom, whatever the case may be. You will demonstrate certain behavior because you have an end goal. And when you hit that goal, you might be like, whoa, I'm so glad that's over. That's different than you are going to practice certain health standards every single day of your life because that's what you need for your longevity. So standards basically grow and compound on top of one another. Whereas a goal could be a spike and then it drops off. So sometimes you'll hear people say, you really need to raise your standards. So what does that look like? Well, what is the area of your life where you, not someone else, you feel you have to raise your standards? Is it in your professional life? Is it in your personal life? Is it relationships? Is it your health? Whatever it is, take them one at a time. Then look at what is the minimum acceptable behavior for you. Take out all that negotiation back and forth. When you start negotiating with yourself, well, if I give up this, then I can have that. And I'll give another example because this happens all the time. I've heard this from so many people over the years. People who were cigarette smokers, they stop smoking cigarettes and then they start vaping. They stop smoking cigarettes and then they start overeating. They start gambling. They start smoking pot. Let's make a deal. No, that it's a non-negotiable. You say to yourself, my standard is I will not do this. And I'm not going to replace it with something except for healthy behavior. And the same thing when it comes to business. Maybe you find yourself working so much that you feel completely burnt out. So on the life balance scale, you're way over here for work. And then for your personal life, you're over here. So sometimes what ends up happening is people go from over here as the extreme to over here where, I don't feel like doing anything anymore. Yeah, I'm not going to do anything. I don't feel like working. I'm going to do the minimum that I have to do. And you can see this many times in corporate America, where I know I used to sell loyalty programs for many years, and you would always have the top performers, your top 10 or 20%. Then you would have the core group of people who are doing the work. And then you have people who are barely breathing. They barely have a pulse. So this group of people have become completely unmotivated. They're just happy to get a paycheck. They're happy to get benefits. They're happy to have some place that they're actually going during the day, but they're not actually functioning at a high level. They look at the A producers and they say, you know what, I can never be that. The best that I could be is the B. So they've let their standards go, or they never actually defined any standards. So you have to look at the different areas of your life and you have to come up with certain standards. So a standard might be that for the, let's say, 8 hours that I am working, I will have certain things that I want to accomplish by the end of the day. So your standard might be 3 things that you're accomplishing every day for your business, 3 things you're accomplishing for your health every day. Maybe you decide on a Sunday you're going to cook food for the rest of your week. So your standard is that you prepare your meals in advance so that you're not going to be tempted to go out to dinner, or you're not going to be walking through the grocery store and just picking up things randomly that maybe you can't afford and maybe you don't need. You have certain standards in place, but it takes work. It takes an effort. And it's not that goals don't. Goals definitely do. But many times we're chasing a goal. When I was in corporate and I sold the loyalty programs, we used to talk about the dangling carrots, the things that people would put in front of us to motivate us to do something. But it's for the short term. So once we achieve those goals, we typically go back to the same behavior that we used to. So for me, for example, when I decided I wasn't going to drink Chardonnay and I wasn't going to eat sugar, I did it because I have ulcerative colitis and I've had it for 35 years. And it made sense to me that in the long run, my body doesn't need those things. And so I could have said to myself, well, I'll do this until I have my colonoscopy and then I'm going to stop doing it. Or I could have said, I'll try it out for 30 days and see what happens, or I'll try it for 60 days. But no, I set a new standard for myself. And the standard was it's non-negotiable. Those 2 things are removed. They're removed. That's it. My birthday's coming up. I said to some family members, there's no cake. There's no Chardonnay. There's nothing. We will be high on life. That's it. And so you actually have to think of it as a commitment to your new you, the new every day. Still have goals. Goals are important. But in order to effectively impact the goal, to achieve the goal, you've got to have certain standards. Now, I want to tie this in with what I really believe in terms of inner peace. There's a lot of strife going on in the world, right? We could talk about that till the end of time, but I like to talk about us each finding inner peace. And finding inner peace to me takes work. It takes setting boundaries. It takes the ability to say, no, thank you. We get offered many opportunities in life, personally and professionally. And we just did a show, A Woman's Prerogative, about burnout. And so when you're thinking about setting your standards, in order to have standards, you've got to have boundaries, because not everyone in your life is going to be receptive to what it is that you've decided to commit to. So if you've got a partner, significant other, you've got family members, you've got a roommate, whatever it is, they may be used to seeing you behaving in a certain way. And when you decide that you are going to set standards for yourself, you're going to be setting some boundaries. And that might mean that the interaction you have with the people closest to you is going to change. And people might not like it. You know, if you're someone who is used to, let's say you're used to going out and having a great time on the weekends. Let's say you like to party, whatever that means to you. And you decide, you know what, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm actually going to be working out. I'm going to be meditating. The people you've been hanging out with are not going to be happy about that. Here's another example. Let's say you're married and you and your significant other, you are couples with other people. You go on vacation. Maybe there's 4 couples and you always go on vacation together. Or maybe it's the guys go one place and the girls go another place. And all of a sudden you decide, you know what, this relationship's not working out. I've been feeling this way for a long time. I don't want to do it anymore. Your friends are not going to be happy. I've experienced this myself when I got divorced. One of the guys in the group, he really let me have it. He said, you ruined everything. And this was in 1999. I've been divorced a long time. And it turns out I saw him years later. And he said, I'm so sorry that I said that to you. That was so selfish. And it really was. It was all about him. It was about the fact that I set a standard for myself that said, you know what, this relationship is dysfunctional. I'm not doing it. I'm not putting all the blame on the other person. I'm just saying it doesn't work. But the people we hung around with liked all of us going out. They liked that routine. And so it changed. So you have to be really committed to whatever your standards are. Let's say, and I'm talking about health related things, you decide you're going to do intermittent fasting. I do intermittent fasting every day between 13 and 16 hours. So you're used to 3 meals a day. Maybe you're used to 2 snacks. Maybe you're used to getting up in the middle of the night and having ice cream. And all of a sudden your partner says, you know what? I'm not doing that. I'm doing intermittent fasting. You're like, what do you mean? This is what we do together. We go out to dinner, we cook, we have people over, whatever it might be. And all of a sudden, you've just decided, no, I'm not doing it anymore. Not going to be well received. And why? Because we like what we know. We feel comfortable with what we've been doing. And we get into routines. And when we get into a routine that involves other people, now they have a choice that they don't want to make. They have to either change or they have to accept the way you are. And that's not always easy. And that can break up relationships. It absolutely can. Let's say, for an example, that you have been working a corporate job and you've always wanted to do something. You had a dream. You wanted to be an actor. You wanted to be a singer. You want to be a painter, you want to be an artist, whatever it is. And you talk to your significant other and you say, you know what? This is something I want to do. I'm going to leave my career and I'm going to start producing records, producing content. I'm going to go on TikTok and make it, whatever it might be. Not going to go over well. So what you have to have are standards of behavior that you set for yourself that may be hand in hand with the goal, but they could be completely separate. So if your goal is to have, let's say you're an author, you want to have a New York Times best-selling book, you have to have certain standards in place that relate directly with the quality of your writing, the quality of your editing. And you also have to have time management so that you can get the book written and have a publisher who's willing to take the book, because if you're going to be a New York Times bestselling author, you can't be self-published, as far as I know. So all of these things are different than potentially a short-term or a long-term goal, because they're on a daily basis. So if you have any questions about that, please let me know. And hi to Jenny on YouTube. Thank you so much. And hi to Roxanne on YouTube. Thank you very much for being here. So where am I going with this? The key takeaways are this. Your results are not random. They're not. Wherever you are today, whatever is going on with you, the results that you have, they're not random. They absolutely reflect the standards you tolerate. And I'm going to go back to health again, because this is one that we can pretty much all relate to. If we decide that we are going to spend our disposable time sitting and doing nothing and eating at the same time, maybe we could be writing, we could be singing, we could be painting, we could be watching something on the screen, but we're not getting any movement. And we get on the scale for our yearly physical and we've gained 20 pounds. That's not random. That reflects the standard that we set for ourselves, which is, I have no standards. I basically am out of control. So have you ever felt like that in some aspect of your life, where you felt like my life is out of control? Well, the results speak for themselves, because the behavior you demonstrate, or if it is, let's say, in your physicality, if it's in your bank account, if it's in your emotional intelligence, it's reflected by the standards that you tolerated about yourself or someone else. So I'd like you to think about the idea of stopping the chasing of goals. Unless you have taken your standards and you've upgraded them. Because if you're always following the same standards, it's like lifting weight, for example. So you may go to the gym, you may be working out at home, you might not be working out at all, and someone hands you a set of 2-pound dumbbells. So you start working out with the 2-pound dumbbells. Well, at some point, you're not getting any stronger. You've got to go to the 3 pounds. Then you got to go to the 5 pound. Then maybe instead of doing 15 reps, maybe you're going to do more weight with less reps. But you continuously upgrade your standards. If you're not doing that, chasing a goal like entering a marathon, and you're not running, you're not increasing your distance, you can walk a mile, but you got to go 26 miles. How are you getting to the end? You got to upgrade your standards. You've got to say X number of times a week, I'm going to do this number of miles. Then the next week, there's like a whole plan you have to follow. And that's what it's like in life. You've got to have a plan. You've got to evaluate where your results, the results you're getting today in the choices that you make, where they reflect the standards you currently have. So what I'd like you to think about is, as I'm closing out this episode, what is just one thing that is a non-negotiable standard for you this week? Only this week. I want you to think about it. So I shared with you already plenty of things that are non-negotiables for me, and a lot of them are health related. But when it comes to business, okay, I have 2 businesses. I've got USA Global TV and Radio, and I've got Dr. Jacqueline LLC, where I do my writing, my keynote speaking, my songs. And so I'm writing 3 books at the moment, and all 3 of them are going to be self-published. I think there'll be books number 28, 29, and 30. And so all of them have a due date on Amazon. When you when you apply for uploading a book, a manuscript, a cover, you have to pick a date. So all of my books are due in the next 30 days. So that means starting tomorrow, I have to do a certain amount of writing every day. Now, I'm also enrolled in the Wharton School of Business for their Chief Strategy Officer program. That's about 5 to 7 hours of homework every week. So I've got to have certain hours that I'm spending on schoolwork. And then I'm broadcasting my own shows. I'm producing my team shows. I'm training other people to produce. There's a lot of things going on. So I have to have steadfast standards so that I get everything done. People will say to me, I don't know how you do it. I've got standards. I've got boundaries. I've got a plan. Those are the things that you need to have. I'm no superwoman. I'm just like anyone else. But some things are non-negotiable. My peace of mind is non-negotiable. If someone is filled with drama and they want to bring drama into my life, sorry, door is closed. Is that because I'm mean? No, it's not. I don't want any drama in my life. I've had drama. I've caused drama. I don't want any drama. So that's my standard. You can have your standards. I want you to think of one thing in your life for this coming week, the first week of March. What is something that is non-negotiable for your standard, whether it comes to your physical, your mental, spiritual health? And that's a great place to start. So if you are interested in any additional information, you can contact me. I've got my contact details here that I'm putting up. usaglobaltv.com. There's a contact us form there, or drjacqueline.com, or you can email me at drjacqueline@usaglobaltv.com. If you're not familiar with us, please do go to our website, usaglobaltv.com. You are more than welcome to book in for 3 free interviews in a year. We currently have presence in over 60 countries. We have shows in English, German, and French. And we'd love to hear from you. We'd love for you to join our community of followers across the world. Here are our 2 YouTube channels. We are on Amazon Fire. We get distributed by many other platforms. We're also on social media. But I love when people really subscribe to these channels, because then we know how many people are watching and from where, and then what people are really interested in. So it's USA, Global TV and Radio, and Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck on YouTube. Okay, thank you again for watching. I'm going to leave you with my first and probably only single. It's called Please Listen to What I Say. I recorded it in London in November of last year with my dear friend, Dr. Madeline Chan. So you can download this on Apple iTunes. You can also download it on Spotify. And I'd love to have your feedback. So take a listen. And thanks again for watching and for subscribing. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Listen, babe, now. 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 Listen, babe, now.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover Holy but Harmful, The Silent Sin of Judgment, How Hidden Judgments Destroy Relationships and Damage Lives by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
Get ready to wear the brand that's changing the world of media. Introducing the official USA Global TV and Radio online store. From our TV show hosts to our incredible global guests, you asked, we delivered. Rep your appearance with pride. Whether you've been on air, hosted a show, or tuned in, we have something just for you. Visit us at usaglobaltvradiosshop.myspreadshop.com and start shopping today. Check back frequently We're dropping fresh new designs all the time. Showcase your role in our global community. These designs celebrate your voice, your story, your presence. It's more than just merchandise. It's a movement of hope, inspiration, education, and elevated listening. Head to usaglobaltvradiosshop.myspreadshop.com. Your spotlight awaits. USA Global TV and Radio. Elevate your style. Elevate the world.
In a world full of noise, misunderstandings, and interruptions, master the art of listening with Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck is the listening mentor of USA Global TV and Radio and the Amazon #1 best-selling author of Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening. Elevate your listening. Elevate your life. Join a global learning experience in person or via Zoom. Reserve your spot today. usaglobaltv.com/book-your-session or drjacqueline.thinkific.com. Join Dr. Kerbeck's listening courses or hire her to unlock deeper connections and authentic conversations. Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.